Hi, welcome to our podcast, My Addiction. I'm Marti Noxon, and this is my sister.
Megan Weaver, the sister.
Really playing up that angle.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's a thing.
It is a thing.
You are my sister. You're my stepsister, but
Yeah.
still my sister since
Yeah.
I was 5 years old.
Yeah, since you were a wee person.
It's really, it's so funny when people say, well, that's not your real sister or your real brother or your real dad.
Yeah.
And I always feel kind of slighted by that. Like,
Yeah, no, me
yes,
too.
they are.
Yeah, me
Like,
too.
It doesn't matter that we weren't born of the same womb.
Yeah.
We were raised, together.
Yeah.
And lived in the same house a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
spent every holiday together.
Yep.
So, to me, there's no difference.
It is weird. Yeah, it is weird.
And our sister Tracy, she's my half sister.
Yeah.
And again, I hear people say things like, well, oh, she's your half sister. Yes,
Yeah.
technically she is. But
Yeah.
it's not, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything different to
Yeah,
me.
no, it really doesn't. I mean, when everybody talks about like chosen family, and we're more than chosen. Like we're related by marriage for
Yes.
reals
For a long time.
I mean, that's the other thing. Is,
Right.
Our parents were married for what?
Forever.
Yeah, for like
Almost 40 years.
yeah. That's when we had to go on the ship boat.
We did go on a ship boat for their anniversary. And
We're not saying ship boat. We're saying shit boat.
shit boat.
Yes. Okay. So I'll make that clear.
Yes, this
Wasn't
was
a
one of
ship
the
boat.
boats that had been involved in a shit incident.
Yes.
The week before we boarded. Now, so our parents weren't big cruisers, but they would go like on the QE
They went,
too.
yeah, way back. Yeah. But no, when Dad came up with this plan,
Right.
and we should also say, our father notoriously cheap.
yes.
Like part of the reason they went on the QE2 was because he was a documentary person. He worked for National Geographic, and he did talks.
Right.
So it was free.
It was free. And
Yeah.
that also brings me to one little point, just a sidebar here. I have said, and I want you to clear this up for the listeners, because
Okay.
I have said on record on a radio show that our dad discovered the Titanic. Is that true or is that not true?
That is not accurate. That is fictional. No, okay. So ish.
Okay.
He was on the submarine for a National Geographic documentary that discovered the Titanic, but he himself was just along for the ride.
He
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, look out there. There's the Titanic.
No, he wasn't just swimming along one day.
Right.
And went, oh, God, what's that?
I think I clarified that he was a documentary
Yes,
filmmaker for
yes.
National Geographic.
Yes.
And he was documenting the quest,
Yes.
the search for the Titanic.
And the one where they actually found it, because there were many, many quests, and
Right.
he was actually there. So
He was
yes,
there and
that
he
was
documented.
significant. I mean, it's not
big fucking deal.
insignificant. Yeah,
All right. So I just exaggerated.
yeah, just a little bit.
So the shit boat.
The shit boat. Oh my God. And again, I have to say, like, it's really funny. I was drinking, but I was really trying to not do it around the kids. So I was being very, like, I'd take little breaks and stuff. And, like, Nanny would come and she'd look after the kids. And one day she just snuck me a big old bottle of vodka.
She did. Oh, wow.
Yeah, because she wanted to make sure I was,
Taken care of.
taken care of. Yeah.
I want you to have fun on the
yeah,
shit boat.
Not enough.
That boat was something else. And I remember it took us, the course was from San Pedro, right?
Yep.
To Catalina,
Yep.
then to Mexico, and I believe it was Ensenada.
Yeah. And it was my idea to get off.
Yeah, so Marti had this great idea that we should go on. There's this great restaurant she heard about in the alleyways of Ensenada. And so we got off the boat, and it was you, me, and
the
our kids.
Yeah.
And my
Our
kids are real little.
adorable, young, beautiful children.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ripe for the picking.
Yep.
But we could not find this restaurant.
No, instead we were walking around and people were looking at us like they were going to kidnap our
They were going to take us.
Yes.
And because we were in, like, this was,
it was
not
not
this was off the beaten path. There was
Yes.
nothing. So
No.
that was
I mean, nothing that you'd want to go into.
or C
Yeah.
or B.
No, there's a lot of stuff. There were a lot of pharmacies selling like
Yes.
codeine and stuff with signs saying that all the stuff they would sell you. And I was like distracted by that, but we did have the kids,
We had
so
the
I wasn't
children.
able to go.
I think we found a Carlos and Pepe's on our way
Oh,
back.
God, it was
and
terrible.
Did some beer bongs.
Yeah, not with the kids.
Not
But
with the kids.
but the whole thing was that our father really wanted to go on this particular cruise because it was their anniversary, the very day that this boat landed in Catalina. So
Which is where they were married,
yes,
on Catalina Island. Yeah.
so it was very sentimental. However, not you and I were the only ones who were like people pleasing enough to be like, yes, we will go on that whole trip. Everybody else took a boat to Catalina and then left, but we got on this ship.
They did.
And the
The
minute,
smart ones.
the minute we got, and I was like, you see the record with this particular, it's not great.
Not great.
We get on and people on scooters everywhere, and they're gamblers and they're drinkers
And eaters.
and
That
yeah.
taco line, that free taco line was bumping
the
constantly.
whole food thing. And our dad also, like, to him a butter sandwich
Yeah.
is a delicacy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're on this boat. It is literally just a tacky floating casino.
Yeah.
There are
Hotbed.
pictures
tackiness.
online,
Yeah.
by the way, of like children going down water slides.
There were no
and like,
water slides.
Like the big pool the pool was the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah,
and it was
like,
full of drunk people.
it was full of drunk people, and it was like a weird, like slimy green
Yeah.
kind of color. I was not.
It was like drunk
going,
soup.
It was gross.
Yeah.
It
So
was
the
gross.
whole thing was like, hold on to our children, even
Yeah.
on the boat, and then, I mean, obviously I love our father, but cheap. Oh my God. So
Yeah.
I got a room with a balcony that looked outside.
Yes,
And
I
by the
didn't
way-
have a balcony. In
By
my
the
room.
way, not a whole lot more
no.
than, but Dad got Nikki and himself an interior bunk,
Oh God.
and they were taking, it's
With no
just like,
windows.
no windows,
Oh God.
and this was their big anniversary.
I know.
Anyway, it was, let's just say, for us, not a great trip.
Not a great trip. Not a great trip. The kids loved it, and he loved it, which is important. And
My kids, I would say they have mixed memories.
Mixed memories,
Yeah,
okay,
because
okay.
of the promises of the water slides.
yes,
and
and that did not.
yeah.
did not
But Dad
happen.
was happy as a clam. Your mom was fine.
She was okay. She tolerated it.
Yeah.
Oh God, damn!
But
A
I
trip
don't
down
think I
memory
would've-
lane.
Yeah, I don't think I would have done that if I was sober. I think
Yeah.
And literally after that, I had a slogan, which was "No more shit boats."
I definitely no more ship boats, and I definitely wasn't sober.
Yeah.
Well, today I'm excited about
Yeah.
today,
Super excited.
and we have a great guest on.
Yep.
Her name is Ambyr Childers.
Yep.
And she is a fantastic actress, and you've seen her on the likes of Ray Donovan
Yep.
and the show You, and she's just fantastic. She
Yeah.
also happens to be my neighbor.
Yep.
She lives on the street. And I'm excited to have her on, and,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
super
talk to
excited.
her about all things. She's sober,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to get her take
Yeah.
on this thing. Well, I would love to welcome our guest today to My Addiction. We have Ambyr Childers here with us. She is a phenomenal actress and also a phenomenal neighbor.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting that.
She's a very good neighbor. How would I know that? Because she's my neighbor.
There you go. There you
Seriously,
go.
like
The street that we live on, it's the best. Everyone knows each other. Like everyone has each other's back, and I feel like that's very rare in LA. I've lived in
Yeah.
a lot of different houses, a lot of different neighborhoods, and it feels so good to be in that. Like as a single mom, like living by myself with kids, I know like if I ever hear something, I know I'm like,
same.
Megan.
Amber and I have been on many texts and phone calls when shit goes down in the hood. Like
Like skunks and stuff.
no
No.
fires.
Well, fires, and
yeah.
then there was a period where our area was getting really targeted and broken into. Like 1 week, I think we had 5 break-ins. It was just
Oh, crazy.
bananas, and so of course everyone's like
Yeah.
on high alert and
Yeah.
Yeah.
communicating.
I think that your neighborhood, I think people, they tend to keep to themselves. you
Yeah.
know?
Although, one of the big things that happened when I moved in was my neighbor, at first I thought very standoffish. Turns out not at all. I just projected all of that. And then it turned out he was sober. And really working, like a program, very, like he and I started hiking together, and because this was during lockdown, and he was very much like, why don't you go to meetings? Like, why don't you? And I was like, no, I got this. I'm fine. I go to therapy, and I was like, I don't really have a great relationship with, AA and all that stuff. And he was like, yeah, well, I want you to stay sober. And I was like, okay, Mr. Opinionated. And then he started a Zoom meeting, and it was only like 5 or 6 people. And that drew me back in, But it was sort of a God shot, if you will, because he was very opinionated. And then he was like, once I was going to that meeting, he was like, why don't you have a sponsor? I was like, I don't feel like I need a sponsor. I feel like, and he's like, I've talked to a lot of people who don't, they get drunk, and I was like, stop, But eventually, I got it, So it was really like
he was looking out.
He's
for
the
you.
one neighbor like I really know, and he is literally on the other side of the fence. Like I would not have probably gotten to know him if he was anywhere else. So
That's nice.
yeah, it was really cool.
Love that.
Neighborly
Love thy
love.
neighbor,
Love thy neighbor.
even when it's hard.
Yeah. Right. And I would be devastated if you ever moved. So don't move.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Stay
right,
right.
on
I'll
it.
try.
Stay right there in that cute little house.
Schmayan. Oh,
Did you just say Schmegan?
Okay. Let's get into
Wait,
that.
I need to know this story before the other story.
it's true. This is a story.
She and my brother call me Schmeg.
Or Schmeggy.
Or Schmeggy or
Schmegs.
Schmeggers. And they've been calling me this forever.
Yeah,
I mean,
since we were.
since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And when I got to high school, and my brother and my sister, I went to high school with my brother. He's 2 years older than me. He would call me Schmeg at school. And when the other kids heard him calling me Schmeg, they started to tease. And I didn't understand why they were teasing me. And then they explained to me what Schmeg means
But
in the
here's
Urban
the thing.
Dictionary.
I
didn't
actually don't know.
I
Oh, you
didn't know.
don't?
See, I didn't know either. And the other day, you and I were walking.
Yes.
And I said, oh, Schmeggy. And she said, oh, no, we were with somebody else. And she said, why'd you call her that? And I was like, well, it's our little nickname for her.
Yeah.
And she told us what it means. I had all these years, like
Yeah.
decades.
Oh, you didn't know. Is it appropriate?
Aw.
It's totally inappropriate.
Oh, inappropriate.
But I'll
Yeah.
tell you what it is.
Okay.
It's in the Urban Dictionary, and this is what I found out from my schoolmates. And then I was so
gosh.
embarrassed, and I didn't want them to call me Schmeg anymore. But now I don't care. I think it's cute. It's like...
It's
the-
dip cheese.
Okay, there you go.
Wait,
It's like male anatomy, dirty under the parts.
It's dick cheese.
From
It is
under.
the stuff if you're not.
Schmeg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Smegma.
If you're not
Is it,
clean.
what's the root? Because it sounds like...
I think it's smegma,
Oh,
actually.
smegma.
But
Okay.
schmegma,
So
I think,
then
is
we were
another
calling
term
you-
for it. Yes, you're calling me dick cheese, basically.
Yeah.
So,
And I have to say, I'm so sorry.
It's
I had
okay.
no
well, I think you
idea.
guys just put the SH in front of my name. And,
Schmigs.
yeah,
Yeah,
it made it kind of like a cute
schmiggery,
little
like-
thing. But not knowing, clearly.
No,
So-
I had no idea. And the funny thing is, you thought I did know.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, you hurt my feelings a little bit, but now I realize it's endearment. I'm like, why did it hurt your feelings? Like, what?
You were so
I literally was like, what? And then
Oh
you walked
my
me through it.
And I walked you
was
through
like,
it. And our little hiking partner walked you through it, too. And she
Yeah.
was horrified. And I was like, I don't care anymore. Like, it's fine. I think it's
high
cute.
school, and I'm
Yeah, high school is rough.
I'm going to use it.
Like
Like when I go...
you're going to call me Schmeg.
No, I'm not going to call you Schmeg.
Okay.
I feel like the trauma, like you've healed from that trauma.
Yeah,
like
you
you already
don't
went through
need
that
new
with
people.
your... I think there are a few people that in my life I'd like to
Okay.
schmeg around.
Give him that nickname.
oh my god.
So that's
Well,
the
again,
origin story.
Okay.
I profoundly apologize.
It's fine.
I am,
You're not going to be able to stop yourself from doing it.
no.
So just
no,
keep
it just
on doing
came
it.
out spontaneous.
It does.
Okay.
And
well,
it's cute.
I'll let Christopher know too.
Let Chris know. Yeah, so I was driving here today, and I was coming through Beverly Hills, and I'm like, no, you got to be kidding. I'm getting pulled over. I'm running just a couple minutes late. The cop comes to the side, and he yells to me, roll down all your windows. I've never been told to roll
No,
down
I've
all my
never been
windows,
told to roll
front
down-
and back. And I was, okay. So he comes to the comes to the driver's side window, and I'm just, hands in my lap, and he comes and he looks in. He says, "Your license and registration, please." And then he looks in my cup holder and says, "Is that an alcoholic Topo Chico?" And I look at him and I said, "No." I said, "I am 17 months sober." And then he says, "Oh, congratulations." I said, "Thank you, but I am addicted to these Topo Chicos."
Yeah.
Right? He said, "Oh, yeah, they're really good." I said, "I don't know what's in them." So we started talking a little
I
bit.
can totally see if we're gonna get a sponsor.
Right.
Oh
Right.
my
We've
gosh,
said
that's
those words so many times
Right.
already, so
Yeah.
it's exciting.
It's
Wait,
so
I
exciting.
have a question.
I'm addicted to Topo Chicos. Yeah.
Why did he pull you over?
Okay. So he did tell me, and it was legit. This is very Megan. My registration is expired, and I don't have a front license plate. And
Okay.
Okay.
That's
So
fine.
I mean, totally legit.
Yeah.
And I explained why why my registration's expired because of this toll road thing that I had, and I didn't know if it was a scam or not, and so I didn't pay it. It was legit. I needed to pay it because I did go through the toll road. And did
So you just
So
let it
speaking-
ride.
let it
Speaking
go.
of registration, did you guys know, side note,
Yeah.
I went to go, my registrations are expired.
Yeah.
I went to go renew it, couldn't renew it. On the phone, they said I'd do it online, went online, did it online, said I couldn't do it. I had to call in person. I called in person. They said I had to go to the DMV. Okay. This was all in one day. I wasted my time. Went to the DMV. They said, you have a, what is it called? God, my mind.
Lien?
No, God, no.
Lean.
Megan,
Taking you to
wrong
jail.
person.
Yeah.
A software update, like the manufacturer, like recall. That's
Okay.
what.
Recall. Oh.
So do you know there's a new law? As of June of last year, you cannot get your registration if you have a.
Recall.
So you have to get that fixed before you
That's
can.
a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, the government is too much up in our business.
They really are.
Sorry, I know that was.
No, that's a good side note.
You
It's good.
actually-
It's good to know. We need to go. We got to make sure.
You reminded me that I needed to go do that, so thank you.
So he takes my license and registration, as they do, back to his car and
Yeah.
starts looking
Oh
things
my
up.
God,
It takes
I'm
forever.
sweating so much.
And then he comes to my window and he says, "I'm going to let you off with a warning." Hallelujah. I was so happy. And I think it was because I told him I was sober
Yeah.
for 17 months.
yeah.
So there you go. That's
I mean, it's
another
also
benefit.
It could also be because you're just hot as.
I don't.
Was there flirting? Was there?
He was cute.
Okay.
He was young. He was cute. But I honestly think that it was the like, no, sir, this is not alcoholic because I don't drink alcohol. And this is, I think that it was just, there was like, I could tell in his eyes that that was kind of something that he was like, oh,
Oh,
good
so
for you.
For those of you who don't or are drinkers, you could use that timeout. Lily just gave us a timeout.
So Lily is so funny. So when we are naughty,
Yeah.
and most of the time she lets it fly, but there have been a couple times where we get the timeout, which is like,
yeah.
She's like,
well-
don't tell people a lie. I get in trouble the most because I get facetious.
That's okay. I have
Yeah.
diarrhea of the mouth sometimes, so I have to watch what I say.
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's
So
really good.
so let's get more on topic.
Sure, let's do it.
Um,
Well, Amber is sober.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that's another thing that we have in common besides being neighbors.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, and we have a very close sobriety date,
we do. Yeah.
I think.
wow.
Right?
Yeah. I think I'm on the 23rd, I'll be 17 months.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm still under a year, so I'm
Great.
still vulnerable, and I cry, like, all the time, and, like, learning to feel my feelings.
Sorry.
It's been such a beautiful journey. I mean, I went through a lot in my 20s, and I didn't know how to cope. I didn't know how to, express myself. And for me, the way I expressed myself was through my art, through acting, through dancing, through singing, through music, and it like, the classic saying, it works until it doesn't. And I was so used to pointing the finger at, like, well, he's an addict and he's an addict and he's an addict. And then it's like something that, like, you're like, well, I never got a DUI. I've never been to jail. I've never done cocaine. I've never So you, like,
I'm not as bad as other
you're not as
people.
bad
Yeah.
as, like, I'm not on Skid Row. Like,
Yeah.
all of these things.
Yep.
So oddly enough, the last relationship I was in, I got sober I didn't drink for 2 years. to help this other person with his sobriety. And of course, it didn't work because I, think that I can control and fix and, everyone. and I wasn't working a program. And then that relationship ended. And so a girlfriend of mine was like, maybe you really should go to Al-Anon. And I was like, I know I need Al-Anon. There's a lot of, things there. So I ended up going to, you can go to like a double winners meeting, which is where you hear the alcoholic side and you hear the person who's suffering or has a family friend or spouse. So as I'm sitting there listening, I realized through this process that, oh my gosh, because alcohol really wasn't my thing. I took Xanax for a very, very long time. It was my way of coping. And frankly, it was a way for me to be able to hide it from people. I could still live my life on Xanax. And I was too afraid to get pulled over for a DUI. Like when you're divorced, it makes it like really more complicated. So I think for me, I just wanted to numb that feeling. It was weird because I've always suffered from, and I've talked about this before on other podcasts, I've always suffered from anxiety and depression. And so you're trying to figure it out. Like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel different? Even in high school, I felt like, it just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. And I think that's truly why I fell in love with acting. It's so much easier for me to step in the shoes of a character. But then when I have to show up to be Ambyr, it's like, oh, shit. It's so uncomfortable. So through this process, through this like last year, I came in, started going to more AA meetings, and I realized, oh my gosh, everyone has AA wrong. It's not about picking up, shooting, gambling, sex. It's about what goes on between your ears.
Yeah.
And it
100%.
was like a moment of, oh my gosh, that's what I've been searching for. And then you go and you hear other people's stories and you realize like we're all the same. Our stories might be different, but the feeling's the same.
Yeah.
Trying to escape is the same. And so, I actually this is a funny story. I started getting sober in February of last year, so 24. And then I've always wanted to go to Stagecoach. So I went to Stagecoach. And London and Riley, you better not be watching this. And I did mushrooms for the first time.
Okay.
And I love mushrooms. They're amazing.
And you did that without alcohol?
Without alcohol.
Okay.
And
was this kind of like a chill microdose situation?
Yeah.
That's
like
the
a
new
chocolate
thing.
or
We've talked about this.
Yeah, these gummies. Okay. They were fantastic. And then I came back and I told my sponsor, and she's like, And I was like, oh, fuck, it's only 2 months. I'll just restart now. I'm so like, rather than being like years and then doing it. So I'm sober, and it's been almost 11 months. So
amazing.
Yeah. We've been talking about that, about the microdosing part of, in sobriety. Is it sober? Is it not sober? We kind of believe that sober is what you kind of make up your own rules about it. And you can do it.
100%.
There's many different ways to be sober, get sober, and whether it's nothing at all or a little bit, we tend to believe that it's not a one size fits all.
It's not. Right?
Yeah, and it's really, we're going to have an actual expert on because we're
not experts.
Yeah, no. But there's also this sort of new frontier of treating anxiety and depression with microdosing. And a lot of people think it's going to be, because it's more, the efficacy seems to be more than a lot of the prescription drugs that are out there. However, there's going to be like, it's really like going to be an interesting issue, sort of like I think way back in the olden times, taking any kind of medication was kind of an issue. So it'll be interesting to see that evolve if indeed those become like prescription drugs. If people are going to be like, yeah, but it's,
and I'm so curious about that because I'm really into neuroscience, and Dr. Amen is a dear friend of mine and a mentor, and I really got into understanding the brain and how it works. And listen, I know that he I don't want to speak for him, but
and who are you talking about? Dr.
Amen.
Amen.
Daniel Amen. He has the Amen Clinic through Newport. He does he scans brains. So like his whole philosophy is basically we take care of, we look at every organ. If you need like a heart, you need heart medication.
Yeah.
You go look at the heart. If you have a foot problem, you go to the foot doctor, whatever. But we prescribe medicine for our brain without even looking at the organ of our brain.
Interesting.
And that was another moment of like, oh my God, I feel like, where is this anxiety and depression coming from? Am I making this up?
Yeah.
And so going and experiencing that, I had empathy with myself. I understand that ADD is real,
Yeah.
but there's ways that I could heal myself from it. So.
Yeah.
Not to get off topic.
No, but I think that is topic. I mean,
sounds fascinating.
yeah.
But I think that to go back to your point is like if people want to go do mushrooms or microdose, again, like you said, Ming, it's everyone's journey.
Sure.
For me, it's not about, I enjoy being sober. I could wake up. I could, take my kids to school. I could do all these fun things. I'm learning how to date sober. I'm learning how to show up sober. I'm learning how to, it's audition. So it's just all so beautiful. And it's about, for me, having a higher power and knowing exactly where my feet are, because life gets lifey, like they say. And you have to, regulate yourself. Our world is just, it's
cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yeah.
Crazy right now. And I say like, we live in the land of fruits and nuts, and like, okay, so how many more years can I do this without really going off the deep end and having that, like having a higher power has been game changing.
Yeah. And even though we talk about, there's lots of different kinds, obviously we three represent, total abstinence, at least right now, like that's, but, at a certain point in my sobriety, and this was a couple of years ago, I also have, I think this is pretty common. I have, acute anxiety and, the kind where for a long time I didn't want to take medication because I thought it was sort of like a cliche and also like a sign of weakness. Because I was like, oh, it's such, everybody I know, is talking about like what meds they're on and everything. But I just had such debilitating anxiety that at a certain point, I said, I have to get help. And at the time I was married and he was like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And anyway, it ended up that once I started taking something to up the serotonin in my brain, a lot of the things I was afraid of, like, I'm so tortured. Maybe that's why I'm a good writer, I was like, oh no, actually I'm more productive because I'm not managing the anxiety in my head all the time. I'm not up here being like doing circles to try to. So then I was like, kind of like, oh, why did I wait so long when this has been such a critical, but anyway, a while back, for whatever reasons, and this happens sometimes, my medication just stopped working. It was like I broke through, they call it just breakthrough. And we couldn't figure it out. And, at a certain point, I went to my doctor and I said, I think you're going to have to check me in. Like I'm having, I couldn't get off my bed, and there was a lot of, I just was like, this is, I don't know that I can live like this. If we can't figure it out. I had a lot of fear that we weren't going to be able to figure it out. And I was sort of trying to keep it chill around my kids and, like, well, mom's, just sort of stuck to the bed today, but everything's fine, and ultimately, it was recommended by a doctor that I take something that, is not, according to some people in the program, like, I'm not sober, because it is a benzo, but I take it in a way that I never knew you could, which is daily, every day, just a small amount, broken into 4 times a day. So it's not like you do it like, oh, I'm feeling something, I'm going to take, it's not like
it's regulated, right?
Yeah, right. And I also check in with my doctors all the time, and if I'm ever feeling like I'm using it inappropriately, but it kind of like is not it's not one of the things that I feel real tempted by. It's not something that I feel, like I'm going to abuse. And I have to tell you, like I was having rolling panic attacks, like, and they stopped.
Oh,
and all, and among other changes we made to my, daily regime. Yeah. But I had to go to, my sponsor initially, and she was like, yeah, it's too bad we can't take anything for this,
Gosh.
But I mean, that's, because, that kind of drug for many people is not being sober. And finally, I had, I came back to her and I said, look, I've talked to a couple doctors. This is highly recommended. I'm going to be, checking in with, them, weekly about how it's going with my sobriety. And God bless her, she said, you know what? I'm not a doctor. And if something's standing between you and your relationship with your higher power, if it's so, and she was like, give it a try. And again, it was one of those things where that was combined with some other changes. Like I was free, I was released from this horrible thing. And I just, like I said, it's not something that I feel tempted to abuse, but I felt really, I can't tell you, like months of me going through that suffering, feeling like I can't do it because then
it's the guilt and shame. And like that's the worst place to be for whatever it is. Like I'm so happy that you were able to like break through because
thank God.
Listen, your family needs you, your sister needs you. Like you get to show up differently in the world. Like everyone wants to see your beautiful smile. Like it's amazing. And I know what it's like to, to have crippling anxiety. I have a daughter who has crippling anxiety and that is we just need more empathetic. And I think like I'm so grateful that we live in a time now where people are actually okay to talk about it. Right. And some people are going to get it and some people aren't. And you know who your people are. Yeah. And you got to stick with your people who get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, again, it goes to, I think, we all get something out of, the 12 steps. We keep talking about this. I mean, we're in early days because, we're going to end up talking about all kinds of addictions, all kinds of stuff. But, we're talking a lot about drugs and alcohol, and it's just, it is so beneficial to find community. I think
it's the best thing.
That's
I feel like I finally found
important.
like my people, and they're not, people have said like, be careful, who you hang out with in AA. And I'm like, I have a pretty good like bullshit meter, and I have a pretty good like, except for when it comes to picking guys. Okay,
we're gonna get there.
I just put my words in my own mouth.
We are going to
the audience
get
is probably like, wait
this.
a second.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
Yeah.
I have a date on Sunday, so we, we've got stuff.
Oh yeah.
To discuss.
Okay, well, let's get into it.
No, but it sounds like you've gotten into it a little bit more.
To the what?
With what?
Dating. You've done a little more dating than...
I'm dating for the first time in my life, you guys. I got married at 20. Divorced at 20, I think I was around 28.
Wow.
Like a week later, jumped into a relationship.
Sure, as you
This
do.
is what you don't do. Right. was with that person, not married.
Yep.
For 7 years. And then, so that also is like part of
that's
my...
that's like a marriage.
Yeah.
I feel like a 7-year... I mean, I just got out of a 7-year relationship as well. And I feel like that's a biggie.
I think we didn't live together, so it felt a little bit different, but still you're committed to the person. Right. And you're showing up, and he had kids and I had kids, and unfortunately it just, I needed to end it. And so in January, like when I started dating of last year, I didn't know how to date sober. I didn't know take it back. I didn't know how to date.
That's how I am right now.
I didn't know how to date.
No idea.
Okay.
Scared to death.
And wasn't Ben one of the...
Not going to do it.
We can talk about his
Of course
name,
you can talk about Ben,
Because also the funny thing about Ben is I went to preschool with Ben.
Yeah, that's a funny, like, small world little
and I was like,
tidbit.
And when she first was dating him, I was like, wait a minute, I had a crush on him in preschool. Like,
Yeah,
that's not
he was
fair.
cute.
Oh my goodness.
He was cute.
But, he was, I think,
still
one
cute.
of the... Yeah, no, he's adorable.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the first people that you really dated after your divorce.
Yeah, I mean, I did all the apps after my divorce, but I was shit-faced throughout the entire dating process on Tinder, on Bumble.
I haven't tried Tinder.
On all of them. So I ran through a lot of men on those dating apps.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't
Oh,
know that
God,
you had
yeah.
your...
Oh, my God.
I didn't know you
I'd
had
have
your
them
wild
over to the
oats.
house. I had pool nights. I had... The wine was flowing. It was really fun.
It is fun.
It's so
It was
fun.
really fun, but I was really, really drunk through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear about your sober dating because I have never dated sober, and it's terrifying to me.
Yeah, it's funny. So I started dating, and I've dated a few guys who have been sober or they're dry, and it's been okay, but really getting into, now I'm okay with saying like, okay, I'm sober. But in January, having a really hard time, like I'm not a partier. I've never like gone to the clubs, and like frankly, no one wants to see me in the clubs now. It's like awkward. And nor do I want to be in the clubs. But two of my girlfriends were like, Amber, you need to go on the apps. And I was like, I'm not that desperate. Like, really. And then you're sitting at your home like, oh shit, I don't drink. I don't go to the clubs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick on some like random single dad at like the kid's school.
Right.
That's just like, and then be like the gossip of the school. Like, how am I going to do this? How many times can you go to the fucking market?
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't know. They all say like just stand in the produce section for a while and something. And I'm like,
Not doing that.
I don't have time.
No.
I don't have time. Okay.
No.
So I was like, four of my girlfriends, 2 met their spouses on Hinge, 2 on Raya. And they're like, Amber, just do
Really?
it. And I was like, okay. So
I get no play on Raya. I'm.
They won't even accept me on Raya.
I'll
I
help
got
you.
accepted.
You will?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I got accepted early on, and I can, I go on and off. It's expensive, but the thing is, like, I'm a woman of a certain age, and I don't know.
Is it skew? It probably skews pretty young, that Raya.
Well, not young, but I mean, they look like,
Right.
most people look like you. And so I get like nothing. Like,
Okay.
it's just it's an
She's
arid-
been on. She's doing well on the dating scene too.
I'm on the apps now.
You're
yeah.
doing great.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I
she's
wanna
doing-
hear what
yeah.
apps you're
But so
on.
Raya is.
So I was like, okay, fine. I don't know what pictures to post. I don't know the whole thing is just, it just makes me like uncomfortable, right? I'm already
Yes.
uncomfortable. Now you're gonna like take it a step further.
Very
So I called
uncomfortable.
one of my guy friends. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna go on Raya. Help me. So I had one of my guy friends actually
smart.
do
Gay or
my-
straight?
questionable.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think straight. I don't know. Questionable. So I said, help me with my profile. So he did my profile. And I was like, oh, but then you're like, oh, click.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Okay.
Like
It's a little bit of like almost like a game.
It's a game.
Is it addicting?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
It can be. And you have to check yourself, right? You're like, okay, how many? Yeah, like definitely.
Right.
I've caught
How
myself.
many can I take?
I've definitely caught myself
Don't
at.
get too greedy.
I've definitely caught myself at like a coffee shop waiting in line. I'm
Yeah.
like, right. I'm like, oh shit, there's someone behind.
I know, it's always when you're doing it when you're like someone's looking over your shoulder and then you're suddenly like, hey.
Right.
So the first guy that I actually matched with, I think it was on Hinge. Never met him. I had a FaceTime with him, but he was sober. I was like, oh, this is God.
Right.
Like,
He's
I don't
meant
know.
for me.
I'm always looking for like,
Yeah, meaning.
like meaning.
Yeah.
No.
This is God himself.
Yeah. No, I don't know. He lived in Venice. Like, he really.
Okay,
Well,
God doesn't live in Venice.
I don't
God's
know.
gonna be
Maybe.
geographically
Kind of
desirable.
hippie-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he
I
was
would
so
put
nice.
I would put God in Venice.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Fair
would.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I FaceTime, but we never even. I don't know what. And that's what happens. You match with people, and then you never.
Stuff peters out.
Yeah. So now what I do? Because guys, they just want to text like, "What's the favorite movie?" or "What's the last movie you saw?" And I'm like, "Listen, I don't have time for this. Here's my number.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you 3 days. I don't say this, but in my mind, I'm like giving you 3 days to
Yep.
reach out, make a coffee date. I don't want to go to dinner. I don't want to like.
Yep,
I just
yep.
want to. I just want
Do
to
a vibe check. You want to do a vibe check?
Yeah. And by
Yeah.
the way, I would love to get on the phone because now, like, I'm
Yeah.
becoming like good at this. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Efficient.
Yeah, efficient is
Yeah.
probably a really good word. And some guys I match with, and it's been fun. But then I'm like, okay, this is probably not. But through dating, you learn, simple but true, what you like and what you don't like.
Oh.
And you learn things about yourself. And the first probably in-person dates were really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But now I'm okay. Like, guess what? I'm going to show up in my Converse or my Vans.
Yeah.
And like what you see is what you get. And I think that's also a gift of sobriety is being okay with being yourself.
Yeah.
And I finally, for the first time in my life, feel like I'm coming home to the authentic Amber. Not being what everyone
Not putting on the show for
Right.
different people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I ask myself, like, when I leave a date, like, how is my nervous system? Like, I really have to check in with myself. And I feel like that's like, you know, certain things that like, there's these certain list of things questions that I go through about whether they're a match. And like, some guys have been wonderful and some guys have been like, oh.
Right.
I feel like maybe
It's a
you
numbers
could
game.
sponsor me and Megan in this area.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I mean,
Dating
I have
sponsor.
so much anxiety around it. And it really builds up so that when I get there, I'm, you know, but the one thing I've gotten finally better at is boundaries. Like if someone says, you know, would you be comfortable sending me a boudoir picture?
What?
What? I'm not sending anybody nothing.
And I was like, no.
That's
no.
so
Wait, they
inappropriate.
ask this?
Well, at least he asked.
Oh.
I mean,
What?
a lot of people send you, and he was
Dick
like,
pics?
would you like to see something of mine? And I was like, not
Dick
really.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
You're
gosh.
getting dick pics.
No, I didn't get it. That's what I thought was very polite.
Oh, it's polite.
Was that it
Not
was,
just
it was,
Okay, a couple of tips.
okay.
I learned.
Just the tip.
Yeah,
Oh.
just the tip.
It was low hanging fruit. Like, just-
Yeah,
was a
you
good one.
had to take it. Yeah.
So because I feel like you and I are on the same plane with like our nervous systems
Yes.
and newly in sobriety and in the dating
She's
scene.
oldly in sobriety a little
But
bit.
I'm newly in dating because I
Newly
didn't
dating.
date
Okay,
for
yeah, newly dating sober, yeah.
8
So,
years.
Yeah.
I realized that I have to move my body. It's really uncomfortable sometimes sitting face to face
Yeah.
with someone.
Yeah.
So I love going for hikes.
Yeah.
Oh.
They actually say sitting like side by side
Yeah.
with someone moving forward, there's not this pressure. So I love that. Even if it's like a walk around a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
hey,
better.
I'll meet you
Yeah.
in the
Because I'm not you were better than I am, but I'm not a pretty hiker. Like I got plantar fasciitis. I got to stop. I'm like, oh,
I have
my
sweat
feet.
under my boobs.
And then like, oh, can we slow down for 1 second? I just
Yeah.
gotta- And then I'm huffing and puffing, trying to catch my breath. I'm already out of water. Like,
Yep.
I think
okay.
that I need
Okay. So, but
a
we'll
walk
just
around the
block.
neighborhood.
Walk
Yeah.
around the block.
You
That's
could-
good. I
and
could do
you
that.
find like a mutual neighborhood, you know, where there's
Okay.
I mean, there's ways to do it.
Yeah,
So I think for me, those have recently been like something that I really
That makes sense. That
enjoy.
makes a lot
And
of
even if you
sense.
go to a restaurant, maybe opt for sitting at the bar side by side.
Yeah.
Because you're
Like that.
more comfortable than sitting face, you know, like I said.
You know
face to
what?
face.
I have to agree with you. I lied earlier when I said I haven't been on a date.
Oh, that's
I
right.
did go on a date, and it was with somebody I know, right? Somebody I've known for a while. So that
Okay.
already adds in a comfortability factor. But I will tell you this. We did sit at the bar at Steak 48. And
Steak 48.
which is, I love Steak 48. Anyway, but I agree with you, sitting side by side. There was something that made that meal and that time with him very comfortable. And I
Yes.
think that the side by side thing.
Yeah.
I always love sitting up at the
Well,
bar.
I
The food
said-
bar. Yeah, and it doesn't bother. I'm not triggered by sitting at a
No,
bar anyway.
but by the way, every restaurant in LA has an NA non-alcoholic
Beer.
menu
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, or
Yeah, most of them
mocktail.
do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had
Oh,
one.
I love a good mocktail.
Yeah,
Like I'm
I mean
like,
they're $12, but
You're like,
hopefully you're not paying though, because a gentleman would never make you pay
no,
for like a
of
mocktail.
course not. He didn't. I
gentleman would
mean,
never
the
let you.
gentleman did pick up the tab, but when I'm paying for the
Okay, good.
mocktail and they're $12, $14, $16, I'm like, it's fruit juice.
it's juice.
with an
Yeah,
edible
Yeah.
flower on top.
It's juice.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but
yeah.
still, I know, yeah. This is why this is working so well today, because we're all sitting side by side.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
But I like this. You know, the thing is, when I went on my first sober date in many, many, many years, it was with a fella who quite a bit younger, and I just I just wanted to sit someplace super dark. That was my thing. Is I looked through all these places because we were
Right.
sort of meeting.
Casa Vega's the
sort of-
darkest restaurant in town, I
That
think.
makes me want to do cocaine, and I've never done cocaine. Every time I go there, I'm like,
Let's rip some rails.
the other things that I learned about dating. I love meeting people.
Yeah.
I love meeting new people, and I never thought I did until I started dating. I find humans fascinating. It's also part of my job, like really understanding like
Right.
what makes people tick and just different background, because LA is such a place where most people aren't born and raised, like you're not meeting people, they're transplants from somewhere, right? And so I met this guy last night, and he was actually, oddly enough, 20 years sober, and was sharing with me. He's a huge sound engineer for one of the biggest rappers. And he was saying, and I was, he was asking me about my kids, and I was saying, I have one kid who's neurodivergent, and he was like, really, tell me, about her, like what she has. And so I was saying there's some learning differences and ADHD. It's just like a very complex learning style and way of thinking. And he goes, that's so funny. He goes, had a severe learning disability. And he started going into this story about how he like couldn't write. And finally he found his thing, which was sound and music.
Wow.
And I was like sitting with him going, oh my God, this wasn't about the date. It was about being a mother and meeting other people, as, sometimes as a mom, you get anxiety about like, what your kids are going to do and how, if they're going to be able to find jobs and just all of it, just the natural fear that we get instilled in us as being moms.
Yeah.
And it was just such a beautiful thing. And I was like, you know what, if I never see that guy again, or he never asked me out on a date, I needed to be on this date. And it was a very quick, random, like, we matched. He's like, hi, you want sushi? And I was like, oh, fuck, I've been craving sushi. Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's go. And I had the babysitter, and I was like, Riley had
So
Riley had a friend over.
There wasn't a lot of back and forth and all that kind of stuff.
None.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. It was a gift. And I was just like, so that's the other
amazing.
Beautiful silver lining about really putting yourself out there. And even if you don't think you would be interested in someone just by their pictures or maybe something stupid that they write on their bio, like, you never know someone until you really get to meet them. And I think that's we're so quick to judge, right?
That's
I guess that's the lesson. So
That's amazing.
Just a sidebar, just to expand upon what your date said last night. My ex-husband, who actually worked for Marti and scored her show Buffy the Vampire Slayer back in the day, he had severe ADHD, ADD when he was a child, and had to take medicine, and he hated the medicine, and he hated being on it, and he had struggled in school, and he found music, and he is now one of the top television composers in town.
Yep.
They find their way,
their
avenue, their path. So that's pretty inspiring too.
Yeah.
Amber, I wanted to talk to you about your appearance and your role in the television show You were on for a couple of seasons, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the beginning. Yeah.
When I say the show You, I have I am very self-conscious, and then when I say the word you after, like it's a tough time.
Yeah.
When you were in the show You, tell us about that, because that show is about like major obsession, like gone wrong.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I think for my Candace specifically, she had this obsession about proving that, Joe was a bad guy. And I think there was some good in there, but it's like, where's that boundary of like too much, right? And obviously Joe takes it way out of the park.
Joe takes it super.
I mean, isn't he?
far.
He's murdery.
Yeah,
murdery.
he's super murdery.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I think
My kind of guy. True crime.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Wait,
I mean, the weird thing is, just sidebar, he's super sexy.
He's hot.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it's this weird, like, kind of uncomfy thing. And by the way, I told another actor who was doing the, had been offered that role, but it was on a network that I had a not great experience with, and I told him, run. And then the show was so, like, cool and successful. And I was I had dinner with him not long ago, and I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, he's like, oh, I didn't give it a second thought. It wasn't, for me. But I've been carrying that around. Like, he was on my list of amends.
yeah, it's
I mean, oops.
Funny.
It's I think of now that I'm dating, right? And I'm in this position of like what Joe was doing. It's a form of like,
how are you in the position of what Joe was doing?
No, meaning it's just really unhealthy, right? And it's so crazy, the psychology behind the success of the show and how women and men, but mostly women, get this idea of that, like, love bombing can be
something you want.
Something you want.
Yeah.
And it's just not healthy.
Right.
But I hope that the people that watch it and continue to watch it, and I know it's on its final season, that they don't take it too serious.
Right.
You know? Because people get so wrapped into these characters, and it's just, you know, you have to check yourself. This is why I don't watch like crazy TV before I go to bed, because it really fucks with my psyche at night.
Guilty. Opposite.
And then my aura rings like, bitch, you didn't sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
last relationship, and this is part of the reason I got sober, because I was with somebody who did that big time, and I was struggling to stay sober, and kind of met him when I wasn't. But I think this person kind of looks for that. Like the next person he went on to was also someone who was trying to stay sober, and I think there's that vulnerability, right? Like
isn't that called 13 stepping?
13 stepping is what I think I want to do too much, but that's when you see newcomers and you decide to like you know,
hit on them.
Yeah. For some reason,
I've never heard that terminology before.
I just found this out because I was like, oh yeah, I went on a date with someone that's in the program, and they're like, did he 13 step you? And I'm like, I have to do another step?
Yeah. It's too much.
Wait, what?
No, it's if somebody with time goes after a newcomer, and unfortunately,
sexually, romantically.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like that's the 13th step, baby.
All right.
Unfortunately, I still have that kind of impulse, like when someone really new and really cute sits up, I'm like, I can fix that.
Right. Oh God.
That's another program.
Yeah. I can fix that, but I
So-
don't act on it anymore. Just to be clear.
Okay. Good.
I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Self-control.
13 stepper.
So they have this thing in AA in the program where they say you shouldn't date, and I was really struggling with it for a while. Like, you're not allowed to date.
For the first year.
suggested.
Yeah.
It's suggested. By the way, it's not in the book.
Okay.
It's not in the book.
There's nowhere in the book.
So
Nope.
people were really pushing, and some people in AA can be really pushy. And
Yes.
like I said, like they'll tell you not to take this, not to do this. But I said, listen, if you're going to take away my tranquilizers, my alcohol, my mushrooms, you're not going to take away my men.
No. I get that.
Right?
I get it.
Full on. Total respect.
100%.
And maybe I will learn my lesson, and then I'll be back on this couch, like, you know,
Guess
a-
what?
Right.
a
I'm in
year from now,
I'm in
going,
another program.
It wasn't a good idea.
But and this is coming from a place of truly believing that you could be evolving as a human spiritually, and working on yourself and still be out there. Because, listen, I'm 36, and if and when I decide to get married again, I know when I'm 56, I'm not going to be the same person.
Right.
That's my goal. Like, I always want to be learning. I always want to be evolving. So if that was the case, I would end up alone with like 20 cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only have 3. I'm not taking that super personally.
That's why I said 20.
You never know.
I love cats.
I do too.
No, when I get anxious, I break out in pets. Like suddenly I'm fostering some animal, and I'm like, then I give it a name,
And then it's yours.
and then it belongs to me. Maybe that's a program.
Maybe that's
Fosters Anonymous.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
That's healthy, though.
I know. I love
There's
the
good
animals.
addictions and bad addictions.
Yeah.
It's
It's true.
Like Pilates. Like, I love Pilates.
Yeah.
Pilates has been such working out. I guess what I would say is, like, they say in when you give up one addiction for the next, and hopefully it's not like gambling, even though I do love Vegas.
I like playing the lottery.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Like a scratch ticket?
Just when it gets big, the mega thing,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
go in.
Really?
Yeah, and I have to go into the liquor store down the street anyway, and it doesn't trigger me at all.
You know, I'm gonna go down there and be like, hey, if Megan walks in, I need you to
Yeah.
here's my number. Call me.
It's fine. I love it. Wines of the world. Anyway,
But then you could have healthy addictions, right?
right? You work out a lot, yeah.
And for me, yeah, working out has been, and it's not about losing weight. I mean, obviously we know the importance of women and muscle mass as we get older to support our bones, and there's tons of research out there about that. But for me, it's therapy. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's therapy. Boxing, Pilates, weightlifting, hiking. It's just
You need to call me and get me on some of these exercise excursions, because it's the one thing that I'm just like, I could do better at.
you're gonna
Yeah.
okay.
And you're inspiring. I follow you on Instagram. I see all your Pilates, videos, and they're awesome. It's like it makes me want to do it, but I just don't.
Yeah, it just feels good. Like
Yeah.
I take care of it. It's just as important as my sobriety.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so I
I get that, and we've been going on some hikes, and I always feel better after, except for my plantar fasciitis that does start to act up. It sucks to get old, Amber. I'm telling you,
Absolutely,
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah,
Start hurting,
and I'm like, oh, my back, and she's like,
oh
oh, my
God,
foot.
my feet. Oh, but
Well, speaking of that, I'm going to the chiropractor after this.
Oh.
So I'm feeling it already. But I say I wake up in the morning. Okay, this is a serious addiction that I have.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
yeah,
No. Yes.
I set my alarm clock for 5:40 in the morning.
okay.
I
Oh,
wake
the
up.
snooze button?
No.
Oh.
I take a bath in the morning. I know.
kinda
So
great.
in my sobriety, I've felt this is like so strange, and I don't know what it is. I can't figure out like the maybe spiritual meaning of it or why I'm doing this, but I need to immerse myself in water, like right when I wake up, and that's where I pray.
Can you meditate in the bathtub,
And
or would you fall
I do.
asleep?
No, I meditate. I pray. I meditate.
Because I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I love
it's
my bathtub.
beautiful. And
I have
then,
a huge bathtub.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, it fits like 3 or 4 people.
oh, my bathtub is
We're
not
coming over.
pretty or
Yeah.
sexy, so I may actually. We
Yeah.
should just do a podcast in the bathtub.
we could. We could. I've had a
the
few people in there
acoustics-
before.
Oh, should I bring some Clorox?
Yeah.
It's just friends. Just friends.
Okay.
No, but that's a great idea. I mean, that's because I would love to start doing the meditating thing, and I love the
Yeah,
bath.
I love the bath. It's just the warm water, and
Yeah.
then I'll get up and I'm
Do your
addicted
thing.
to going out and getting sunlight 20 minutes in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Huberman Lab fan. Andrew Huberman, shout out.
Okay.
Learn a lot about anxiety and addiction.
Yeah.
Aquaphor. I'm trying to think of like all these crazy things that I've been.
Oh, she's doing all her other little addictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aquaphor. Is that?
That's the lip stuff, right?
Yeah.
My kids are addicted to Aquaphor.
Oh,
Really?
it's
Bo, yeah, I woke up to Bo tearing apart Drew's bathroom this morning, looking for Aquaphor because he lost his Aquaphor. It's a thing.
Oh, my
It's a,
God.
you know
it's a
the-
full-on thing.
it's full on, but mine is this size.
Oh, you can't lose that.
No.
So it goes everywhere.
Yeah, that could go other
You
places.
know what I do? I use it as. Oh, it's really good. I use it as a highlighter.
Cut that out.
Wait,
Cut that.
did I miss
Totally
like a funny
appropriate.
sexual
No,
joke?
she
Yeah, I
did.
made
She
a
did.
reference to the size of your Aquaphor.
Oh,
I did. I could not.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you're not losing that.
I'm not
No.
losing it, and I love it, and I use it as a highlighter, and it's good for your skin. So
Okay.
that's another like
Wow.
weird
And it's
obsession.
not like a super fancy, like, I tend to go down the Reddit, everything about beauty products, and I have to admit, like, some of them are things that aren't expensive, drugstore, but I'm like, but the bottle's not nice.
Doesn't look.
You
I
and
know.
then
There's
you're
nothing
like-
sexy about the Aquaphor bottle,
Yeah.
but it works so well. And
Okay.
I'm so happy I discovered it. And then like cinnamon in my coffee.
Oh, I love.
I love cinnamon in my coffee. And then I'm like really into fancy-ish waters. I mean, it's kind of like obnoxious,
Right.
but I think this is like a sober thing. I heard.
Yeah, oh no, I'm
Oh,
such a
We've been
water
over
Oh, you're
fanatic.
you're a water
we've
snob.
been over this.
I used to watch Lala obsess over her Perrier's.
Oh, yeah.
Before I was sober, she would. Do,
Oh,
she
remember
would-
she had the wine, the water tasting on the show. I
right?
think she did
No.
a water tasting on Vanderkamp.
Vanderpump. But she has a legit Perrier like
Yeah.
obsession, and I would watch her drink these Perriers and be like, oh my god, I have to have my Perrier, and I'd be like, how can anyone ever love a
Something
sparkling
that
water
much.
that much? I don't
Yeah.
understand it. Until I stopped drinking and discovered Topo Chico. I think
Yeah.
that there's got to be something in it. I asked the police officer this morning. I said, they got to put something in this. And he's like, I know. I think it's a lot of sodium.
It
So
is
I
a
think-
lot of sodium.
I think it's got a
Yeah.
lot of salt in it, which
Yep, it
is something
does.
to probably
But by
watch.
the
But yeah.
if it okay, what I learned if you take water, just plain sparkling water, and then you add chocolate stevia, like the little dropper.
Yeah.
It tastes like root beer.
Oh,
Ooh. Okay.
It's so good.
okay.
I
Try that.
drink a lot of Zevia, which is a stevia sweetened soda, because I try not to. But it's like I've looked at their merch, like I'm really into it, and I know that it's an obsession. That, it's obsessive, like the
Right.
behavior. And I feel if my fridge starts to get low on my flavors, I get anxious. I
Right.
need to like, there's a couple. It reminds me so much of how I was about having the booze and having it in the right place and having enough and knowing where it was and that whole,
I finally am that way about my house being clean. I'm crazy. Finally, my best friend would walk over. She'd be like, "Amber, what the hell is happening in here?" And I'm like, I know. But now, you could literally eat off my floor. My house, everything has a place. And it was only post sobriety.
Right.
My mom was like this growing up. We had this special room, and she would make carpet or vacuum lines like in the carpet.
Right.
And she was like, no one was allowed to go in that living room. And we were like, what? So my mom had this like wild girlfriend who'd be like, let's go piss off your mom. And I'm like, okay. So we'd go do snow angels in the carpet. And she would walk by and I was like,
I love how you referred to your living room as this special room.
Yeah, we had a special room and then the family room.
It's like, but that's where people often go to
or
live.
people or don't go.
Yeah.
You're not allowed in that special room.
Right. It's like, what was the point?
Because you're not supposed to mess up the carpet lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But now I'm that person.
Now you're I got organized too. I
Yeah.
got super organized in sobriety.
You get that
cleaned.
pee-touch out when you're...
Yes.
Which
Yes.
also sounds kind of dirty.
Pee-touch.
You get your pee-touch out.
Yeah.
Gosh, is there anything else we need to cover? Because we clearly don't need, like, topics.
Yeah, we could talk to you all
I
day
know. Let's do
long.
another podcast about my obsession with basketball because it really is.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're pretty much...
Yeah.
I mean,
think we're
please come back,
exhausted.
Amber.
Lily's gonna have quite the job
Job.
editing.
Yes.
Sorry, Lily.
We love talking to you and your perspective and insight, and it's been really, really fun.
Thank you so much
And
for
is
having
there
me.
anything you want to tell our audience of like 7 about? Anything coming up?
Well, I have a new show that I'm working on that I actually wrote with a writing partner.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I mean, I can't say so much now, but I'm really excited because it's taken me a long time to be able to put just like my life story in a way and my experience of marriage and divorce and parenting and dating and just finding myself at where I am now, just putting it into a comedy, and I'm really excited. So hopefully next time I can come back, I could like shout to the world what it is. But yeah, that's probably
awesome.
That's my big project for 2025, and I'm really excited about.
That's great.
And then you'll probably announce that on your Instagram,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
what's your Instagram?
Ambyr Childers _official. Don't ask questions.
Okay, we're not.
Just
We will.
if there's anyone at Instagram that can help me out.
Yeah.
I gotta fix it. I gotta fix it.
Slide into her DMs.
It's Ambyr Childers _official.
And then you can find us at My Addiction Pod, at My Addiction Pod on all the socials.
on everything.
Across the board. DM us.
Not on Raya, because
Not on Raya, but we're going to talk about
disappointed
Raya
me.
after this.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just a little, give me a little tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Give me a little tip.
I know.
That's
I know.
Just the tip.
That sounds
Girl.
like okay.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
That's a wrap.
It's been real. Bye-bye. I just love that Amber.
I know.
I could talk to her for a really long time.
She can go on almost any topic.
Yes. And she
Yeah.
knows a lot about a lot.
She really does.
And she's got a lot of great, sage advice.
Yeah.
And she's done things that I haven't done, and she's so young.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. And she kept talking about like, well, when I'm, I'm 36, so I better. And I'm just thinking, go to hell.
Yeah.
Not really.
If she wasn't so sweet and nice, I would say,
Yeah.
go to hell too.
Yeah.
But she is
No,
fantastic.
I loved her. I don't mean that, but there's that
No,
part
I know.
of
She
you.
said 56. She said, yeah, in 20 years when I'm 56. And I was like,
I was like,
oh, ouch. Oh, God, that hurts.
yeah,
That hurts.
yeah.
But no, she's fantastic, and I would love to have her back. And
Yeah.
I just loved everything she had to say about dating, and that's something that I haven't done yet. And so I really it almost felt like the water's warm,
Yeah.
sort of what she was
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
and-
for sure. She has a very good attitude about it, whereas I not so much.
Right. Well, you're different. I think
I am different. I'm a different kind of
you're
girl.
a different kind of a dater, but I think your two objectives are different.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not looking right now for
For a boo thing.
what? Well, no. I mean, a boo thing could be exactly what I'm. But I'm not. Oh, I'm not looking
You
for.
get booed up. You don't want to
I don't want to get booed up.
Okay. Right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
well, that's good. That's
No,
fair.
not right now.
That's fair.
I'm my own boo
Yeah.
right now. Sobriety has taught me
Yeah.
to be my own boo.
I
Yeah.
like booing with myself too. I do. I can boo alone.
Yeah.
I don't have
I
any
know,
problems.
It's funny. I don't know where somebody was saying like having problems, being by yourself, like that's a real thing early in sobriety. Like you really have to learn how to be by yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is not a problem for
That's
me.
exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
That's actually, it's a problem that I like being alone so much.
So much. And like when I make plans the day of, I'm always like, how could I cancel? And then I have to like make myself
Go.
Yeah, because I'm so good.
Yeah.
Just hanging with.
I know you and I went out. You took me out for
Yeah.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I did.
I was your date, and we had a great time. But we did have initially plans to go to the club.
Yeah, we're gonna go. We're gonna take our booth eyeing to the club.
We were gonna go to the club, and you were like, what do you? And you paid like a lot of money for this club. Like I think it was like a very special night.
I didn't. When I got to the point of like pressing,
You were good. Yeah.
pressing. Buy.
Bye. You texted
I
me.
was
And you're
like,
how about we just go to dinner at
Yeah.
Tower Bar? And I was like, I love Tower Bar.
Yeah, no, it was.
And
it
we'd be
was
out of there by 11.
fun. And yeah, we could be home by 11.
Yep.
I symbolically stayed up until midnight.
Yeah,
and,
me too.
Watch TV and then
Yeah.
watch the ball drop and all that. And then I was like, also it's just fun. I mean, okay, forget it. That's just a segue for another day.
Yeah.
But I also want to point out that we have our first swag here. We have our mug.
We have our mug.
So clearly we're going to be super successful.
Yes.
Also, I put the mug. I put the logo thing
On
here.
the wrong
on the wrong
side.
Yeah.
On
So
the wrong side. And we do have the quintessential, it ain't a podcast without the neon sign.
yeah, we just haven't
sign
figured out how to get it
that
on
just
the wall.
arrived. But the three of us, couldn't open the box, and I sliced my finger.
I opened the box.
You did because I
Yeah.
sliced my finger off
Yeah.
trying to open the box. But that will be a new addition in future
It's the
eps.
part lesbian part of me that was able to open that box. I just want you to know.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I like that part of you. Own it.
Not that I'm stereotyping. However,
Yeah.
I did manage.
You're
to-
handy with a box cutter.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. Me, not so much.
Well, I guess we should wrap this up.
I think we should wrap it up. I got to take Ziggy to the vet. He's got a double ear infection, and
That's her dog, not her son.
yes, it's
Yeah.
my dog, and he's got some other things going on. So I'm gonna go take him. I won't get into detail because it's really gross.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already talked about the shit boat.
The shit boat.
Let's
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that. All right.
All
I
right.
can't wait till next time.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Oh shoot. Yeah. And before we go,
Yes.
you can find us at My Addiction Pod across all social media. And that is it, My Addiction Pod. And we're really hoping that we can build some community there, that people will go there to, even ask questions that they'd like us to ask. We actually have like actual experts coming on at some point.
We're not the experts.
No,
No.
we're not the experts.
Yeah, DM us, ask
yeah.
questions. If you need any advice, if you're newly sober, or you
If
just
you want random advice from us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or if you've got a weird addiction, because we
Yeah.
aren't only about drugs and alcohol. We
That's
like
for
all kinds
sure.
of funny, strange things. So
Yeah.
yeah, hit us up.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to My Addiction. As a reminder, this podcast is meant for entertainment. We are not medical practitioners, and anything on the podcast does not constitute medical advice or treatment. Please consult your own medical professionals at all times. My Addiction is a Tiny Pyro production. It was created and hosted by Marti Noxon and Megan Weaver. It is produced by Marti Noxon, Megan Weaver, Maria Grasso, and Lillian Holman. Our graphics were designed by Lane Bynum. Our social media is managed by Aziza Abba Boutain and Ashley Lindsay. Special thanks to Allison Shano, Rebecca Steinberg, Amy Steckdaub, and Melissa Tavarit.